What's up, everybody? Yep. This is what I sound like now.
You're selling 7-Up in the 70s now.
No, this is definitely, like I said, it's like a 1950s cigarette voice.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
up,
you
everybody?
can't do your radio show voice. Hey, everybody, what's going on?
No, it's got to be the guy that's like smoke cool menthols.
Or you could do 7-Up, the Uncola.
You are drinking 7-Up.
I love that guy. He showed up in a couple movies that we did.
Yeah, he
The
did.
7-Up guy.
He did. But yeah, I got a killer cold. I got back from Vegas, and I knew. Here's the thing: every time I travel, I get home and I get sick.
Oh, of course.
So when I got back from Vegas, going from like 105 degrees, zero humidity, and I came home and it was like 55 degrees with like 100% humidity, I was like,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna get sick.
Oh yeah.
Sure enough, Friday
Bam.
afternoon.
Yep.
Like I was
It's
saying
just
to you
like
before we went on the air, though. I was hoping, like, this is how ridiculous is this now? I'm like, I was hoping it was COVID, so
Right.
I could just be like, I got COVID, I got to shut everything down for the next week, I can't do anything. But no, every test was negative, and it's just a cold on top of the worst allergies I've had in my life.
Yeah. And if you lie about it, that's just going to come back and bite you in the ass.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, too. And I was
Yeah.
like, please, this would be so much easier.
Yeah.
But no.
I would love to be able to be the kind of person that could be like, yeah, I got COVID. Like what asshole would do that?
Someone
Well,
that
actually,
wants
we
to
know.
not go to work or whatever.
Yeah.
But
It
so
just I don't believe in a lot, but I do believe that if you fuck around with that, you will find out.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm convinced that I had COVID. I know we talked about this. I'm convinced that I had it in December over the holidays.
Yeah.
And just never tested positive for it because I've been exposed to it now so many times since then.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand how I wouldn't have contracted. I mean, Mel caught it and I didn't catch it, so I must have. I had to have already had it.
Right.
Maybe
right.
not. I don't. Maybe not. Maybe my immune system is just really good. So what'll happen is I'll get it now
Right.
because I've got a cold and I feel like garbage. That
Yep.
now is when I'll catch it. When
Oh,
my
yeah.
immune system's compromised.
100%.
So I'm going to let Chris do a lot of the heavy lifting today because we actually postponed. We usually record on Mondays. We postponed it yesterday because, like, if you think I sound bad now, you should have heard what I sounded like yesterday. Like, real bad. Does it sound as bad as I think it does? I feel like I don't sound even remotely like myself.
You do, but you sound muffled isn't the right word, but you definitely sound down.
I don't.
Not
think I'm
out.
Right.
But down.
Well, you know what'll pick you up? King's cigarettes. If you want to smoke like royalty, smoke King's.
Nice. Don't smoke,
just
kids. It fucking sucks.
No, don't smoke, kids. If you don't want to smoke, eat candy.
Eat King's cigarettes.
Eat King. So, films for this week, Chris, what are they?
Fuck. Auntie somebody's meat pies is one of them. You can tell me I had to remember the titles. Hold on. Let me. The fuck
didn't
is your
tell you.
message?
So, which part of you're gonna need to do the heavy lifting would insist that
We
you
don't
don't
usually
name the
jump
name of
that
the movie?
fast into Auntie Lee's Meat Pies from 1992, starring the cast of House of a Thousand Corpses, and Killer's Delight from 1976.
Both available to watch on Tubi.
Of course, because we're gonna go through Tubi like we're auditing the place.
If you want to smoke like a champion, watch films on Tubi. Yeah, two different types of movies.
Yeah.
This week, I did send out the questionnaire. Well, not really a questionnaire. It was just like, hey, you're a Patreon supporter. Let us know what you want us to cover. So I sent it out on the Patreon last week. If you did not see it and have not sent them in, reply to it and let us know. But we got a whole bunch of movies from our Patreon supporters. We're going to start digging into that next week. I'm thinking, looking at it, we're probably going to have 2 to 3 months worth of content just from the Patreon picks, and there's some pretty interesting stuff in
Nice. Give the audience a tease, like just 2 titles.
there. I don't know.
Oh, you don't remember any of them? I thought you would have.
Not offhand. Sorry.
Never mind
Hang
then.
on.
Never mind.
Too late now. Now you salivated the people, and they're like, hey, you can't fucking say that and then not help out. So Rob sent in some picks. He put in Siege or Self-Defense from 1983.
Okay.
He also said perhaps Godzilla versus Space Godzilla.
Oh, fantastic! I've been wanting to watch that again.
Of course, you have Dusty.
What do you mean?
What?
That's the one with Oh, I'm not wearing the shirt today, but that's the one with the cute baby Godzilla.
Is it?
That's the best one.
That's-
It's the best baby Godzilla.
Well, that's fucking vetoed. You won't fight big guys.
What?
Dusty suggested the most dangerous game from 1932.
Didn't we do that?
I don't think so. Shane, longtime listener, friend of the show, sent us about 30 films.
Making up for time there.
Yeah. Three Colors Trilogy. Borgman, Luz. Hard to Be a God, The Visitor.
Oh,
Butterfly
Hard to Be a God
Kisses,
is one that I've been wanting to do, but cannot bring myself to watch yet.
Three Mothers Trilogy, or whichever ones we haven't covered. What else we got here? The Goot. The Goot sent in Doc from 1971, and that Shudder flick, Knife and Heart, which would be good for Pride Month. So that's just a taste, but I got a whole bunch there. So, guys, if you sent them in, I don't know. As much as I would like to cover everything that you guys sent in, we will do our best to first, number one, locate all of them.
Right.
In a good print, or an easily streamed version. Don't feel like you have to provide us with the copies. I know a few times people were like, "Oh, if you can't find it, let me know and I'll send you a copy of it." Don't worry, you don't need to do that. We got enough
Right.
picks. But yeah, I would say so. We're hoping to hopefully start next week and start getting through them because Chris is real fed up with the stuff I'm picking for the show. So.
Oh my god. Do you pick stuff based on stars? Because like 5 stars is better than 0. You know that, right?
No, I usually try to pick films that don't even have star ratings because not enough people have rated them.
Yeah, there's a reason.
That's how I go with it. Trying to get the majority of my talking out of the way here at the top because I'm gonna fade as the show goes on. The only other thing that I can mention is if you want to join the Patreon, patreon.com/outsidethecinema. $5 monthly donation lets you suggest stuff for the show, gets you access to the show archives, and get you the secret feed. Well, it's not really a secret; it's the Patreon feed. It's not a secret; you can just only get to it if you
Right.
are a Patreon member. So, man, do I sound like I'm on old time radio?
No, but you do sound like you're about to introduce a whole bunch of acid jazz on NPR at 2:00 in the morning on a Sunday.
Acid jazz. Actually, I feel like it's more like classic soul. Get that classic soul voice. What's up, everybody? You're listening to The Quiet Storm. Coming up later this hour, we got some James Ingram, some Babyface, and some Kenny Lattimore. But let's get it all started with a little classic P-Funk. That's right, Funkadella coming at you from the mothership on The Quiet Storm.
Yeah, I wouldn't listen to that show.
Why? I would.
Smooth jazz.
That was the most rant. Well, that wasn't just jazz. We had some funk in there. We had some regular jazz. We had some classic soul R&B.
Yeah, but I don't think funk is part of a quiet whatever thunderclap.
Thunderclap, he says. Well, I mean, it is what it is. The films this week, man. I don't even know what the fuck. Like.
Yeah, me either.
I was very much taken in by the box art to Auntie Lee's Meat Pies.
That makes sense. That actually makes sense.
Because the original box art is, I don't even think the girl's even in the movie that's on the box cover. And then it's made by a guy that directed a whole bunch of pornos, and then it's got a bunch of people that were porno stars in it. So it was kind of like one of those. There was like that kind of run in like the late 80s, early 90s, where porno directors tried to like go like legit.
Yeah.
And it always just makes up for like it makes just for such interesting stuff, man. Okay, so this is a Vinegar Syndrome re-release. I'm gonna play their. Do I have the original trailer? Yeah, let's try this. This might be just a scene.
Aha, here it is.
Oh yeah, that's the clip from when the guy gets his head cut off that I posted on our Facebook page.
Dark in here.
That's not a trailer.
Oh,
Okay.
here we go.
I got the Vinegar Syndrome one. I was hoping that I would have like the original trailer for it because I'm like, that'll be sick. But then I realized I don't even know if there was one. So, so here's the Vinegar Syndrome re-release one.
Auntie Lee, I swear, you make the best meat pies I've ever tasted. Ain't no wonder that you're selling like crazy to all them fancy restaurants. Thank you. You know, someday, you mark my word now, someday, people are going to be buying and selling and eating Auntie Lee's meat pies all across this country, coast to coast.
I do declare, Chief, you are a flatterer.
I don't know what kind of fertilizer you use, but it sure does get the job done.
Well, let's just say that's my little secret. But someday, Chief, maybe we can let you in on it.
I would love that, Auntie Lee. I would really love it.
I don't want to watch the whole movie over again.
Yeah, seriously. Do you say auntie or auntie?
I say aunt, and I don't say auntie or auntie. I don't like that word. It's just weird. I say aunt because that's what they said in Philadelphia, and that's what I grew up on. So it just stuck. And then people would say it's aunt. I'm like, oh, you pretentious fuck. No, it's not. Sorry, no, I'm not judging anybody. I'm just trying to be funny.
Auntie Lee's Meatpies, directed by Joseph F. Robertson.
If you're going,
such films as what?
If you're going to remake a movie, at least you pick one that nobody has seen, because a lot of this ended up in House of a Thousand Corpses.
So what are we dissing?
The movie.
Which one?
Both.
So you're saying the House of a Thousand Corpses is a remake of Auntie Lee's Meat Pies?
I say it's about a 40% remake, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Even so much as reusing some of the actors.
Well, yeah, because it's got Karen Black, Michael Berryman. Well, Pat Morita isn't in House of a Thousand Corpses, but
yeah.
But he made a bunch of pornos too. Love Goddess, That's Erotic, Sweet Cheeks, Reflections of Lust, The Ultimate Fantasy.
Mm.
He made some titty and fucking movies.
Yeah, you know what though? Hey, he's making movies. That's good, right?
And this also stars Terry Weigel, who most famously was a Playboy Playmate, and then entered the world of adult erotica after this movie. I'm assuming the director might have had something to do with that, but she's an interesting cat, 'cause she was in a bunch of stuff, and then she went into she did the opposite of what a lot of people try to do. Like, she started off with like a legitimate career. She was a Playboy Playmate and was like very successful, and then wasn't making the money that she wanted to make, so she just started doing porno.
Yeah.
And and that worked well for her for a while until it didn't.
Yeah, if you can make more money doing that and you enjoy it, okay.
No judgment.
I got nothing. I mean, look at how many directors we have now that came from really terrible horror movies or music videos.
The music video thing is really interesting. We explored that a lot in the documentary Survival of the Film Freaks, available to watch for free on Tubi. where we talked about a lot of those big directors that started making music videos that now are like some of the most famous directors in the world.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. But this movie, why don't you give everyone a synopsis of what it's about? It's pretty simple.
The
so.
basic idea is Mama Firefly has 4 daughters that she sends out to deliver the meat pies, wear hot pants.
They're her nieces.
Oh, are they?
Auntie Lee's. Yes.
Oh, all right. I thought that was just the name they put on there. I didn't think she was actually their aunt.
Well,
so.
they referred to her as Auntie Lee, and there's one point where
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
The very Asian-looking actress. She
Yes.
calls her niece because she doesn't look like any of the other actors in the film. She's the only one of Asian descent.
Yeah,
at least
she's
in the family.
the only one with a last name Lee would be like, yeah, okay.
Right.
Not that other people aren't named that. So anyway, what was my point? My point is telling about the movie because I don't do that much,
Yeah,
so I
You
forgot.
were just doing a synopsis.
Yes.
You were just doing a synopsis.
So she sends her nieces out, and they deliver the meat pies. They talk to the people and keep up good relations, and they also kidnap and kill people for the meat pies because Sweeney Todd. And Pat Morita is investigating all these disappearances, and as you can hear, he eats very loudly. And has a shitload of lines that a lot of these characters in this movie, I can't, that's the whole synopsis. The whole synopsis is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, but with more girls.
Okay.
Right?
Yep. No, you're not wrong.
And then Michael Berryman is the only other person. What was his relation? Was he a brother?
He was the slow. No, he was. I mean, they never really said he was the slow helper.
Yeah.
Apparently, back then, that's all you could hire Michael Berryman to do. Even though, like, we've met the dude, he's an incredibly intelligent, well-spoken guy.
Yeah.
But he was always just hired to be because of his unique look. He was hired to be the freak.
Yeah. And if he enjoyed that, then good on him. But
Kept him working.
Yeah, so basically he is the weak link in the chain of killing and selling people as pies because Pat Morita doesn't even have to try to find out what's going on. He just happens across it, and that's how we get into the third act of the movie. Is accidentally finding stuff because Michael Berryman apparently had never played Tetris ever. So he doesn't know how to pack the trunk of a car. But also he kept a lot of trash in there as it was pointed out, and what really set it off was his giant bag of human bones.
Yes. Yeah. Not even sealed clothes. Pat Morita's just like, "Hey, what's that smell?"
Yeah.
Michael Berryman's like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
It's funny that you related this directly to House of a Thousand Corpses. That actually movie didn't even come into my mindset. I was just like, this is a bad version of Motel Hell.
Oh, well, it was filmed in the same place. So
was it?
That's what I read.
I didn't know that.
But with Karen Black and Michael Berryman, and the one child named Baby, Karen Black with a kid named Baby was a little too much for me to be like, oh yeah, we'll just dismiss this as a coincidence. Rundown redneck house out in the middle of nowhere, dusty all over the place. It's the Firefly house with a lot less junk around, basically, because they still have to keep up appearances as normal humans.
Yeah, because they're shipping all the pies out to everybody.
Yeah. So it's a lot like if you've ever seen the movie Jugface, they make moonshine, and all of their crazy religious beliefs don't get talked about because it would interfere with them selling their product to the stores in town. So it's a lot like that's a lot like how you would imagine a lot of people did business. I don't if you have a good product and you're not hurting anybody, I don't care what your beliefs are. And that's a good thing. That's a good reason to keep them quiet sometimes. So, yeah, the acting was there at times.
Yeah, most of the girls, like, they weren't there for their acting chops.
No, and you know that as soon as you see what's going on. So if you're at all into these kind of things, you're like, yeah, I get it. That's fine.
It was interesting, though, because there was a little bit kind of like bubbling underneath, because there's the whole Satan worshiping aspect of it that's only like mildly touched on.
Yeah. Yeah, that never paid off.
No, but it was interesting enough to know that it was there.
True.
And I did like the like seduction angle that the girls were working with. A lot of the like they pick up the hitchhiker and then the band. I just love how fucking heavy metal bands were portrayed in the fucking late 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
These dudes are on tour. Like, there's 4 guys in the car, and it's a fucking like Mustang convertible from like it's like not like one of those old school like big Mustangs. It's like the 1998 or the 1988 like Mustang.
Those boxy convertible looking pieces of crap.
Yeah, and they're in there, and they're a band, and they're singing along. They're listening to their own music as they drive. You heard it during the trailer.
Yeah.
And the girls put out these spikes to blow, or they shoot out the tires with a gun, and they drive like a half a mile off the road to pull the car over. And then they're this band, and they're like on tour.
Yeah.
But yet they don't have any equipment.
They have 2 guitar cases.
2 guitar cases.
And a
no drums.
trunk, I guess, is the best we could say. They have a trunk.
And they're just like immediately, of course, like these 2 girls come walking out of the woods. They're in the middle of fucking nowhere
with a gun.
These 2 girls,
they have guns.
They come walking out of the woods, and like they're dressed to the nines. Their hair's done.
Yep.
And they're just like, okay, and they're like, yeah, just come back to the house with us, and we'll have dinner and stuff. And they're like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Pretty
yeah.
easy.
Yeah, because as we all know, any musician that tours is a moron, because you got to be stupid, I guess, right, to get to book gigs all across the whatever state, country. You know, you got to be dumb to be a rock musician. So
yeah, I also liked what they did do at the beginning of this, where we're introduced to the murderer Bruno, and he's like killed some people and done some other crimes of some sort, and the car that he stole has broken down, but then Magnolia pulls over to help him, and then he kidnaps her and starts raping her, but then she stabs him with a hairpin. And what I thought was so funny was like she just opens up the trunk of her car, and she's got a body bag in the back of the car and puts him in the body bag, and then somehow manages to get him into the trunk.
yeah.
But then gets back, and Auntie Lee's like, you can't let these guys take advantage of you like that. She's like, he was like 6'4" and like 250 pounds. What was I supposed to do? And immediately I was like, well, you were able to get him into the body bag and into the trunk of the car.
Yeah, that was a little. Dead weight is so different. Picking up a toddler that agrees to go with you when you pick them up is way different than picking up a sleeping kid. Now,
Yes, agreed.
It's almost like a 60-pound kid weighs 200 pounds when they're asleep. So
I know, right?
a 200-pound human, all flopping around and everything, like it's got to be 300-400 pounds trying to move. It's like moving a huge water balloon that won't break. I have never moved a dead body. I want to point that out. I've never. But you know how like a water balloon, like it if you pick it up in the middle, it'll droop to the sides or whatever, and it'll try to.
Okay.
So gravity will always try to pull it down. So, yeah, you better off chopping it up in the desert and putting it in a bag.
Right, but you don't want the meat to spoil.
True. Get it home fast enough, and it won't, though. You know.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So there were some little interesting things kind of going on underneath the surface of this. Unfortunately, they didn't really delve into it too much. I liked the plot. It was interesting. The girls look great. There's some really, really hokey effects in it, but they work so perfectly. I posted a clip on our Facebook page of one of the guys getting decapitated, and it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
It's so phony looking.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
and I really loved too when they brought the band back, and they fed them all dinner, and then they brought baby out.
Yeah.
And she's like a full grown woman.
Yes.
You know, like real hot, like hair's done, all
Hair,
that
makeup,
stuff.
yeah. Perfect tan. Yep.
Perfect tan. I believe her rack was also purchased somewhere.
Mm.
And like, so they reel her out, and like, it's like, okay, where did this come from? Because she was only briefly mentioned before
Right.
that.
Right.
And then, as they kind of pair off with all of the members of the band, they all go to these like different rooms
Mhm.
that are their bedrooms, and it's so fucking ridiculous. Like the girl in the Stonehenge room. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that would go. At first, I'm like, oh, okay, look at this. This is baby's room. It's chicken wire walls with baby dolls, the same baby doll, hundreds of times over, just legs and arms pushed through the chicken wire to hold them in place. And I'm like, well, you started off good, but you stopped there. Like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre did some stuff, and then they went a couple of steps further by like throwing chicken bones and feathers all over the place so that it really looks disgusting and gives you that feeling of I don't want to touch anything. And baby's room wasn't so much the room of a mentally unevolved human, I guess. It's just more, it felt like a teenager trying to be quote unquote crazy. And it just fell flat. However,
anyone jumps all, I just got to make mention
Yeah.
of this before anyone jumps all over me. I do know that I Saw Your Mommy and Your Mommy's Dead as a suicidal tendency song,
yeah,
but they present it as one of their songs in the film.
yeah. And
Sorry, continue.
that song actually, I think, sums up the quality of the movie pretty well. It's not a bad song, but the version they use is not like the best, like mastered version.
Well, it was whatever the original version was. From,
Right.
I think it was Join the Army or one of those early suicidal records. How
Right.
I Laugh Tomorrow, maybe.
So that early stuff is very garage sounding, very do it yourself.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Which is
I mean, they
great.
were,
Yeah.
for
But
the
that's
time being.
but that's how the movie feels. Kind of like a, hey, if we knew a little bit more about this, we could do a much better job. You know what I mean? It would look
yeah, I
better. It
do,
would
I
sound
do.
better. That kind of stuff. Like early Misfits stuff. It's like, you might be good, but it sounds like shit. Did you record this in a shed? Like, what are you doing? Anyway.
You gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah, I know, and I'm not faulting them because obviously there are better recordings of all the original songs, but yeah. I mean it's how you want to present your movie, and I think that there seems to be a limit on imagination and artistic style for like set dressing and stuff like that, lighting and all that.
For sure. I did really love the kill layers, though, with the band guys. Like,
Yeah.
there's not nearly enough fucking laser bowling themed murders going on in movies, and I love that this one has at least 3 of them.
What about
they'll like
giant snake beds?
well, it was kind of almost like the indoor blacklight mini golf too.
Yeah. It was so stupid. Like, how is that a room in your house?
So good. So good.
It was interesting. Doesn't make it better, but it was interesting. Is there much more we can say about
No, not
about
really,
a
no.
Sweeney Todd style thing?
I mean, there's no real depth to it, and it's
No.
really just an opportunity for them to take. They're like, we got 4 Playboy playmates.
Yep.
Let's have them all just like walk around scantily clad. We've got Karen Black. Let's let her just do her thing. And
Yep.
Then, Pat Morita, the guy from the Karate Kid, for some reason said he would do it. Do you think when they hired him, and he showed up and he didn't have the Asian accent, the Japanese accent, do you think that they were like, wait, you're not really Pat Morita?
No, because what didn't
I
Arnold?
think
Didn't Arnold on Happy Days? I don't remember Happy Days at
I
all.
don't remember either.
But
I
didn't he
mean,
speak
Pat
normal in
Morita-
Happy Days? Not normal, but didn't he speak without an accent in
I don't
Happy
remember.
Days?
I honestly don't remember. But I mean, the majority of people know him as Mr. Miyagi, and probably don't even realize that he grew up in like Southern California or whatever it was.
Right. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna take a quick listen
All right.
because I need to know
All right.
now.
Well, let me hit the thing while you do that. So while you look that up, Chris, do double duty. Do you recommend and and what did you?
Oh. No, his accent in Happy Days is worse than the Karate Kid one.
Okay.
It actually sounds more racist now than it did back
That
then.
doesn't surprise me. That doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me.
But I mean, he's doing the voice. It's not Mickey Rooney doing the voice. So,
Right.
yeah, I'll recommend this because it's cult garbage that we thrive on. I think it definitely it would fall right in the middle of all of that cannibal stuff, like because you had the Italian cannibal stuff that was like hardcore, and then you had American cannibal stuff that's like almost like they're all horror comedies. Because this I think was supposed to be kind of funny, but it wasn't because they forgot the comedy part. Sort of like I felt like maybe they were trying to go for the surreal. Like, remember the Twilight Zone movie, the episode with the kid that could change reality?
Yep.
Like that kind of just disconnected from reality just that much. I thought that's what they were going for. But it wasn't funny or anything. It was just pretty straightforward. So with everything, with the lack of talent, I guess is the right word, I'm just gonna go C-. I didn't hate it, but I'm not gonna remember it at the end of the year when we do our reviews. So this was perfectly fine. It didn't piss me off. I'm not upset I watched it, and there wasn't any information that made me go, yeah, that's not what that is. So there we go. It was fine.
Okay, then. All right. Well, I'm going to recommend it also. I actually had some fun with this. It's definitely one that will be more enjoyed with a group of friends, I think, because of how ridiculous it is. But, I mean, they made good use of the Playboy Playmates they had. They were smart. They paraded them around to, like, make them sex objects, which is why they were hired.
They looked good, I will admit. Every person in this movie that was supposed to look good did. And that's men and women, by the way. So.
And Karen Black, not really given a whole lot to do, but, making the best of it. Same thing with Pat Morita, same thing. Just, making the best of what he's got. Some really hokey death scenes, which are kind of hilarious in a number of different ways. Those over-the-top kill rooms were a blast. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I don't. Again, just like you said, I don't think it's fallen on my end of year list or anything like that. But
right.
I'm gonna give it a C+. I had a good time with it. I love that Vinegar Syndrome kind of puts their lesser titles after they've been out for a little while, puts them up on places like Tubi, because Killer's Delight that we're going to do in a minute is also a Vinegar Syndrome find that was put up on Tubi also. But this was, like, I think, very much a product of its time. They were able to get some well-known actresses. They were able to get some, women that had been Playboy, and they got a director that had directed a bunch of pornos, and they were like, "All right, let's do this."
Yeah,
and I think for what it is, it's pretty good.
Right. And what you were saying about Pat Morita, what I'm thinking is, his job was probably a few days, and he didn't have to do anything really like over the top. It was just basically show up and wear the uniform, be a dick to this guy who's sitting at your desk, and then catch the bad guys and end up like some of the cops in House of a Thousand Corpses. But he didn't have foresight of the future, so he didn't know that was going to happen. So, yeah, I think that's what it is. It was the ease of the job, and it was it was probably close to home too. That's why I would take a job, because it's close to home.
All right. Well, there you have it. There is Auntie Lee's Meat Pies. You can watch that on Tubi. You can also pick up a Blu-ray of it from Vinegar Syndrome.
Yeah. It's pretty smart of
Moving
them
on.
to put it on there, because if you watch it, and you can be like, okay, yeah, now I want to own it. I bet they got sales out of that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, so our other flick this week, as I, shudder my way through here, is also another Vinegar Syndrome find, as we just said. Killer's Delight from 1978. If I'm not mistaken, this was a made-for-TV movie.
Oh.
If I'm not mistaken. We'll do some more research on that momentarily. But here is the trailer for Killer's Delight. Although the print that we watched said the Sport Killer. Is that what it said?
Yes.
Okay. Also known as the Dark Ride, apparently.
Oh.
This is Kelly. She made a mistake. This is Linda. She should have known. And this is Annie. She knew. Dark Ride, rated R.
So there's that.
Dark Ride?
The Dark Ride, apparently, yeah. Here's another one. Let's see. Oh, that's the whole movie.
Just do that. I can take off the headphones. And
No, I was hoping there was another trailer, but that's the only trailer I could find.
Wow.
So it's listed as Killer's Delight on Tubi. Also, the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray of it is Killer's Delight. The print says the Sport Killer, and then that trailer that we just watched called it the Dark Ride.
yeah.
So all of that's happening.
Yeah.
Starring James Louisi, Susan Sullivan, John Carlin, and Martin Spear. Directed by Jeremy Honak.
Oh, sound department. Okay. I'm just looking them up. Sound department of Beastmaster, Yellowbeard, Airplane, Iron Eagle 3, bunch of stuff.
This is his only directorial feature, though.
Yeah, I can see that. Maybe he did it and he's like, yeah, I didn't really enjoy that.
It did not go so well for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, it's not for everybody,
so-
right? So,
I wanted to check here and just see. Inspired by Ted Bundy.
yep.
That's pretty obvious. Melvin Van Peebles was an advisor to the director during filming.
He was an assistant editor on Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song.
I thought.
Oh, and he was on Fox News Primetime as himself.
Good
Who
for him.
knows what that was about? So I'm going to ignore that so we can have a nice review.
Some of the cast said they weren't given an actual script and often made up their scenes on the fly.
No shit.
So, makes sense. So, I guess this is an attempt at, an American-made giallo-style thriller.
Yeah.
Definitely has a lot in line with stuff like Bird with the Crystal Plumage and a lot of those other ones where it's much more focused on the police procedural side of things,
Right.
Than some other stuff. But there are a few gruesome murder scenes, some broken fingers in here, and some other stuff. But at the end of the day, this is a very run-of-the-mill 70s kind of crime thriller,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. It always bugs me when movies okay, so let me back up a second. In most movies, for instance, I know it's an action movie, but I was watching Die Hard 3 because it's the best Die Hard, and I don't care what anybody says. And the cops in that movie are pretty much moving forward all the time in what they're doing. Granted, there's a time limit and stuff on that. But in this movie, we have time for breakfast, a Top Gun style basketball game, all kinds of stuff. And that's what bugs me about Polizia movies is the fucking downtime the cops have when in normal movies, not normal, but other movies that we've grown up on, it's the one that's being stalked or the victim's family or something, and you split the time so you can show the cops doing actual cop stuff and not just everyday shit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it actually makes 100%.
There was a lot of I understand there's a lot of talking and a lot of discussion that needs to go into investigations. That's fine. But I watched this guy play basketball with his oddly large son with a mustache for way too long. somebody told the second main actor in this, dude, you look 14, grow a mustache. So now he looks 14 with a mustache.
Yeah. There were some choices made in the casting in this film.
Yeah.
Your lead cop looks like he's in this is actually something my wife and I were talking about the other day. How 45 to 60
Yeah.
now compared to what 45 to 60 was in like the early, 90s and through the 80s. Like, if you were 60 years old in 1988, you were like a feeble old man.
Yeah. Here's something that'll
Right?
blow your mind. Remember when I know this is a meme that goes around, but Murtaugh in Lethal Weapon,
Yep.
he was 42 and he was too old for this shit.
He was 2 days from retirement at the age of 42.
Yeah. And I think Paul Rudd is the same age or older than Wilford Brimley was in The Thing.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so weird, right?
It is, but
It's so weird.
medicine and like stuff, just things to take care of yourself, and the fact that people don't have to work themselves to death anymore could all have something to do with it.
Maybe.
I don't know. But then again, depending on what you do, you look at like Barack Obama from when he came into office, and 8 years later, it looks like 20 years of his life drifted away.
Yeah, but that's different though because of the pressure of the genre.
Oh, of course. But I mean, everybody copes different. So pressure of a president and pressure of a CEO, I mean, it impacts your life and the people in your company. So it's pressure is pressure, right? I don't know what I'm saying.
Correct.
I don't know.
No, you're fine. No, I'm following.
Okay.
You. Anyway, getting back to the movie though.
If we
this
have
movie is,
to.
This movie is loosely inspired by the Ted Bundy cases, I guess.
Yep.
You have a serial killer that's going around and picking up hitchhiking girls and murdering them, or getting them to ride in the van with him.
Yes, and this was from 1978, the height of fucking hitchhiking before it dropped off.
Right. Because everyone got murdered.
Yeah, yeah.
One thing I've learned from movies: if you're going to hitchhike, you're going to get picked up by a serial killer.
Here's what stops it when they say, it's really weird. They say that you shouldn't hitchhike because you could run across a serial killer. If anybody says that to you, you say, yeah, but wouldn't it be really weird to have two serial killers in the same car? No, shut up. Yeah, I know. You told me to talk more, and this is what you get. Bad fucking jokes.
Well,
and
also,
killer's delight.
Yes, I'm also like continuing to talk even though I have nothing in the gas tank.
I know.
It's just in my blood. I got to coach a baseball game tonight, so. So the movie focuses on the two cops. But again, your lead cop, who was really, they were like, hey, let's hire John Saxon, and John Saxon was like, listen, I don't got time, and they're like, well, get me John Saxon's low-paid Mexican equivalent.
Senor Spielbergo.
No, but the guy that they got to play him looked just like John Saxon.
Yeah.
So it might as well have been him. And he also put forth like all of the effort that Saxon put into the movies at this time in his career too. So, so he's like also like cheating on his wife though. So like you're like, well, you kind of suck too.
Yeah.
So that was the thing in like the late 70s, huh? Everyone just like cheated on their spouse, and it was like just like a thing, huh?
Yeah, that still happens,
Does it?
It's even easier now.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm too lazy to even get together with my friends.
Me too.
I can't afford that stuff.
No, I don't need that stress in my life, and I don't have the energy. And I mean, fucking look at me. I don't have time to work on this for somebody I don't know.
Right. Anyway, so killer's delight. So he's killing these girls off and, dumping the bodies. The cops are trying to track him down, and then the cops start to get close to him, and he tries to kill one of the cops, but then they devise a plan to try to smoke him out because they figure out who the killer is using some pretty good police some pretty good police work, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, for 70s cops, they did the best they could. In between basketball games and shit.
Right. But they used like they went to like a psychic and they were able to get the license plate, and then they used the DMV to deduct.
Yeah, a psychic. They went to a psychic. That's great police work. Hey, lady, guess. Okay, good. We'll do that.
Anyway.
Yeah, so that's the part there that, like, I'm okay with Pee Wee Herman going to find out where his bike is, but if you're trying to find a murderer, no.
Right. Here's what this film does. It does everything fine. There's nothing in this movie that's like making me mad. There's nothing in this movie though at the same time that I'm like, oh, cool. It's all just like, okay. It plays off like an hour and a half, like a 90-minute episode of like Hill Street Blues or Hunter or like any of those 80s police shows. It plays off like a 90-minute episode of one of those.
Yep. And it's standard. It really is just
I wish they had gotten, because I thought the killer's motives, when they start to reveal them, were fairly interesting, and I kind of wish they had dug into that a little bit. Give us a little bit more time.
What were his motives?
His mother treated him poorly.
Oh.
And used to sleep around. I gathered that the mother maybe was a prostitute, and she sold her body to be able to pay for the family, but the father wasn't around.
Okay, that's right.
Have the father around.
Yeah.
So I think that might have been something. But I mean, they only barely scratched the surface on it.
Yeah, and I mean, it I'm fine with just sex has fucked up people since the beginning of time, and how they perceive it and how they're shamed for it or whatever. But like, it gets a little boring when that's the only reason. And that's not necessarily the movie's fault, because at the time that was still kind of a thing that was not explored as much as it has been since then. So to be fair, they were trying a little bit of psycho mental break going on there.
Right.
So
I mean, I guess we should probably grade. I don't really know what else we can say about that.
Yeah, no, let's.
All right, Chris, do you recommend, and what is your grade?
I mean, this is
for Rapper's Delight.
That's right, Rapper's Delight. Rapper's Delight gets an A because it was groundbreaking, and I recommend that you should have already listened to it. This movie, Sports Delight, or whatever we're talking about here, this is one of those rare. It is so bland and middle of the road. I don't care if you watch it or not. So I'm just gonna give it a C. It's well made. It doesn't feel all over the place and kind of like half-assed. It doesn't feel like it was made quickly or anything was rushed. It feels like people are still learning on the job. Which, I mean, how else are you gonna learn about how to make a movie except to make one? So
Right.
I'm gonna say they were focused on technical aspects of filmmaking to nail that down for the next project, right? If there was one. And the rest of it was just a standard paint by numbers cop story. So
Very much so.
So if you want to, that's the recommend and C.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo pretty much everything you said. I think I liked it a little bit more than you did. I'm gonna probably give it a little bit higher grade, but I'm gonna recommend it just based on the fact that there's nothing inherently wrong with this. So if you really are into police stories and want to dig into something from this time period, then I think it's good. It's not great,
right?
But it's not gonna do anything weird. like you're not gonna like feel anything either way. You don't get a chance to really care about any of the characters. You don't really get a chance to dig into what the killer's motive is, but like everything is kind of there. So yeah, I mean, if that's the most glowing recommend I've ever given, I don't know, but I'll give it a C. I'll give it a C. I'll give it a C also. It's fine. Like so many things that Vinegar Syndrome puts out, like, and I think they know this too. They're like, they'll put out a title and they'll know, okay, this might not hit with the masses,
Right.
but there's a collector's market for people that are really into like Polizia flicks. I mean, I know this was made in the U.S., so it's not really a Polizia flick, but people that very much like are into that stuff.
Yeah.
Like me, I'll watch anything that's a giallo. I don't care how bad it is. If it's a giallo, I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna watch it. Polizia fans, same thing.
Yep.
Got it.
I got it. I'm good.
Got it.
I'm
All
good.
right.
We're done. We're done with those. They were
All
boring.
right. So we've got a Joe segment. We got a Joe segment, and we got a Scott segment. Let's start with the Joe segment.
All right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Is everything working again? Yeah.
Well, hello, Bill. Hello, Chris. And hello, OTC Nation. It's your boy Joe here, and I'm actually kind of excited. This week, Bill made me watch From Dusk Till Dawn. Isn't it funny how a really good opening can get you excited for the rest of the movie? Like, you cannot tell me that From Dusk Till Dawn doesn't have one of the coolest opening scenes of all time. Like, top 10 minimum. I had a unique experience with this movie. If you remember, they did a very good job in the TV ads of not stooging off that, hey kids, in Act 2, in about the middle of Act 2, we're going to flip the script, and what we told you was going to be a Wild Bunch style, like, crime shooty action thriller is actually a super gory vampire flick. Spoiler alert. Jesus fucking Christ. If I need to spoiler alert one of the biggest cult films of the 90s on this fucking podcast,
Right.
What the fuck are we even doing here? Anyway, 1996. I had dropped out of college, was massively depressed, working 2 jobs, had no life, etc., etc. Woe is me. Not a fantastic time for your boy. One night, a couple of old friends who knew that I was not presently enjoying this part of my story stopped by and said, "Come with us, fucker, we're going to go see a movie." I knew that there was a movie called From Dusk Till Dawn out, but that's it. I'd been busy, like you do. One common thread between lovers of all kinds of movies is that feeling when you see a movie and boy, it hits you just right and it has that weird therapeutic effect on you. Now, I'm not sure what it says about me that this movie kind of helped my mental state and helped me kind of get on the right path, but whatever it takes, right?
Yeah.
I walked out of From Dusk Till Dawn happy, excited, and energized. And it had been a while. It's been a while. Spoiler alert, From Dusk Till Dawn is going to get a pretty high rating from your boy. But back to that opening scene. The tension alone makes this scene one that should be studied in every filmmaking class on the planet. Michael fucking Parks giving a complete acting seminar in under 5 minutes, George Clooney showing that he can play a really good heel, the speed and ferocity with which this standoff in a little gas station goes from just really tense to explosive. Hell, I'll even give it to Tarantino. He is not a good actor at all.
No.
But here he's at least passable and believable as a psychotic creep, but, we draw from what we know.
Yeah.
I almost feel like they could have made 2 different versions of this film. I feel like that would have been really cool. One, where it stays a cool shoot-'em-up crime thriller along the lines of Rabid Dogs the whole way, where the Gecko brothers and their hostages try like hell to make it down to Mexico, yada, yada, yada. And the one we get here, where at just the right moment, they kind of just go, you know what would be cool to do at this point in our movie, Quentin? What's that, Robert Rodriguez? Vampires. Can we film their feet a lot? God damn it, Quentin. One of the things that makes this movie great is all the unanswered questions. Anyway, the Gecko brothers, along with Bad Lieutenant, Mallory Knox, and, well, just the chubby kid, because this is the only notable thing he's done, make their way through the dusty-ass South Texas on their way to Mexico and stop at the Titty Twister to come up with to meet up with their friends. I got distracted by the words Titty Twister. It's just funny. I'm sorry. They're meeting up with their fence, who is going to take them to some like magical paradise for criminals. I bet you were wondering about that unanswered questions thing, huh? I left it unanswered. Just like half a dozen things in this movie that are like referenced, and they reference it just enough that you're curious about it. Like there's obviously more to it than this, but it's not followed up on. And while I really want those answers, it's kind of actually pretty cool that they don't, because your imagination could probably do a better job. So, after Cheech Marin, playing probably his third or fourth character in the film, gives the famous pussy monologue, we get the transition. The entire film hinges on this turn. And it does it with sniper-like precision. From entering the bar to Salma Hayek's dance that will lower your IQ a few dozen points because blood is definitely no longer flowing to your brain, to the choreography and the cinematography of the bar fight, knife through the hand, she sees the blood, and what follows is pretty unrelenting chaos for the next 48 minutes. One of the better aspects is the benefits of not only having friends, but being the new cool kid filmmakers in town, i.e., the casting of pretty legendary cult movie figures, and them appearing to actually want to be here is unparalleled. You've got Cheech. You've got national treasure Danny Trejo.
Yep.
You've got Salma Hayek. You've got Tom Savini. You've got Fred Williamson, etc., et al. A friend of mine, about a decade ago, tried like hell to make an animated film and hired Fred Williamson to do some voice work. Hired me to do some voice work as well, not that that matters, and I actually got to share the studio for an afternoon with Fred Williamson. Unfortunately, that movie never saw the light of day, but I can tell you that Fred Williamson is exactly who you want him to be. Like, sure, he's nice and polite and friendly, but he also knows where he stands in film history and leans into it, is not afraid to talk about it, and isn't afraid to answer questions about it. Like, he knows where he stands, and he likes it. He's proud of it. Maybe the most effortlessly charming person I've ever spent an afternoon with. The entire last third of this is nothing but bombastic one-liners, cool fights, and enough blood and guts to fill a few swimming pools. And that's not a bad thing, given whose directorial hands we're in. And one last thing before the thing, god damn it, there was a theory going around, and when you watch the ending of this movie, like the very ending when they've finally made it through, there was a theory that the Gecko brothers were actually werewolves, or that at least Seth Gecko, George Clooney's character, is. And boy, they tease that just enough that you're like, ooh, I wonder. But anyway, here's the thing. The good. Fun. Fun, and did I mention fun? Regardless of the tone of any given scene in this movie, it's all done with the intention of giving you a fun movie that can't be understated. It also gave a shot in the arm to the horror genre that it needed very badly in the mid-90s. The bad, well, the CGI holds up about as well as my lower back has. From Dusk Till Dawn is going to get a straight A, almost an A+. I remember From Dusk Till Dawn 2, so I know damn well that next week isn't even going to be 5% as fun as this, but it is what it is. Until then, be good, everyone.
To quote one of my favorite Newfound Glory songs, Joe, it's all downhill from here.
Yeah.
Man, that one what's the one that has Bon Jovi in it?
I don't know.
He was in one of I think it's The Hangman's Daughter. Is that the third one?
I don't know. I watched the first one. I watched part of the series. I watched nothing else. What kills me are the people that I see review movies that say, oh, there was such a tonal shift in the movie. And then they love this fucking thing. You couldn't have a bigger tonal shift if you turned from the Muppet Show to porn on a cable box. Like, don't complain to me about tonal shifts and then love this movie. Life is a fucking tonal shift, because guess what? You could be driving down the street, happy as a fucking clam, and you could get hit by a car. We all saw that happen in Singles. Everybody, goddamn, life is a constant tonal shift. This was a welcome surprise. Tom Savini was not.
All right, then.
And Tarantino sucks as an actor. He just got to fucking stop.
Moving on.
So bad.
Reverend Scott. Let's see what he's got.
See, tonal shift in my attitude.
But yeah, it's a $5 monthly donation, $10 if you want to join the ultimate tier, where basically you can dictate anything you want to happen on the show. If you want to co-host, if you want to come on the show with us, you're absolutely welcome. Program the show, give us segments, whatever you want to do if you're in that $10 tier.
And if you pay me $10 a month, I'll stop doing my segments on the show.
It's kind of worth it. What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. With Reverend Scott.
You're a donkey.
So-
I produce Entourage.
Hey there, Bill and Chris. This is Reverend Scott. And since nobody gave me that $10 yet, you get a new holy shit.
We just heard You about fucking it. kidding me? Okay, fine.
And this week, I got a zombie movie to talk about, but it's quite a bit different and very deranged. But before I get into the why and how, let's talk a bit about the movies you watched last week. Doll Man and Bad Channels.
Oh, God. That's fine, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, no.
Starting with the film I heard Ant-Man was based on, Doll Man. Let's hear a trailer.
Doll Man, 13 inches with an attitude.
Okay. That ends pretty abruptly. Doll Man, 1991.
And Doll Man is a movie that basically hinges on the special effects. So how did it look, Bill?
As expected, it looks poorly.
Well, this came out 2 years before Jurassic Park, so I'm sure it's not their fault. Let's move on to the characters. So there's Doll Man, obviously, and Debbie. Who's she?
A single mom, or was she the older sister? was that little kid her son?
Shit, I didn't even pay enough attention to that to remember it. I didn't commit that to memory.
Did I?
Doesn't matter. There's a kid.
I don't know. There's a kid.
Cool. What about the conflict and the tone of the movie?
Oh, New York is, under siege by gangs, and Jackie Earle Haley plays like an angry, mean, leader of a gang, and the fact that he's fighting a 13-inch tall interdimensional cop, and nobody's making a joke, is just wrong.
Yeah,
it's just wrong.
Sounds hilarious. I give it a C-, and I give the review a B+. Coming in at a very distant second was Bad Channels. Here's the plot.
I have to take a phone call. So we need to talk, Chris.
Oh, okay. We're not going to pause. All right. I'll just keep going with this. I don't,
Okay, I'm just kidding. Seriously, Chris, what was the plot?
I didn't care to remember, honestly.
Well, shit.
Yep.
Okay, Bill, did you care enough to pay attention to Bad Channels so you could tell us all about it?
I don't fucking care about anything.
Jesus Christ. I guess I'm the only one who paid attention during the review.
So good for you, I guess. Your turn.
I'm just kidding again. I don't know shit about this movie, but it's not my fault. Although we do need someone to blame.
I just want to know whether to blame the listener or you. That's all.
No, you can blame me.
Sounds good. I give it a D+, and I give the review an A. Good for you. Moving on. Guess what I saw on your boy's Shudder? That's right. I saw a new Taiwanese pseudo-zombie horror flick called The Sadness. Did you guess it right?
Yeah, I did.
Good job. So The Sadness is basically about a young couple that are in separate areas of Taiwan when a viral pandemic starts to mutate. They are desperate to get back to each other. There's just one problem. That mutated virus has taken on a very contagious new form. One that causes you to lose all inhibition or ability to stop yourself from acting on any of your deepest, darkest impulses. And yes, it's as horrific as it sounds. But don't worry, it gets worse. Because you know those zombie-like infected from 28 days or 28 weeks later? Well, they're pretty terrifying, right? Now imagine if in addition to wanting to rip you apart, they also wanted to ravage you sexually, and likely at the same time. And on top of that, they had the consciousness and facilities to tell you all about it before and while they did it. All this is through a set of eyes that are swollen, watery, unnaturally large, and jet black, and their mouth in a perpetual smile.
Jesus Christ.
And if you're attacked, even if you unfortunately survive, you're left with the same lust and hunger as your attacker, unable to stop yourself from raping and murdering any more than you're able to stop your own heart from involuntarily beating. To say this movie is depraved and fucked up would be an understatement. It's unnerving, gory, and extremely bloody. But the filmmakers made one very smart decision that I think would have benefited a movie such as a Serbian film, and that was to have 99% of the sexual content slightly off camera, obscured, or simply described in detail by the infected person, accompanied by sound effects, instead of blatantly shown to the audience. The visuals that manifest in your own mind are always going to be far worse than anything they could have manufactured with special effects. Yep. Because I've seen movies that are gorier or bloodier and maybe even more fucked up in some ways, but few are as effective in the tension and fear generated by the thought of you being caught by one of these infected. Not just because what might happen to you, but what you might do after becoming an infected yourself. And I gotta be honest, it's kind of fucked up to even tell you this much about the details of this movie like I just did.
He gave it everything he had.
He did.
Good for him.
It feels weird to recommend a movie like the one I just described, but I'm gonna do it nonetheless. It's not a feel-good movie, and it's not likely one you'll ever watch a second time, but I think it's one that's definitely worth that one viewing. While I can't give it a straight A like I did to something like Train to Busan due to the story and characters just not being as impactful as that film was, I think it's still a solid B+ movie, and it's one I'm not soon to forget either. Okay, I've rambled on enough for 1 week, but make sure you all tune in next week when Bill and Chris talk about how I didn't really mention a single detail of bad channels and how I likely didn't even listen to the review.
It's just bizarre. I don't know. It's just bizarre, man. It's just weird.
Yeah, it's lazy is what it is. It's just laziness.
After that, Joe uses the fact that my job found out about my podcast segments and fired me as a prime opportunity to hit on me.
Sucks you got fired. What are you doing tonight?
And finally, Bill tells us how much he loves my segments and how they, quote-unquote,
make my head hurt a lot.
Yeah.
All that and so much more that'll make your head hurt a lot. But until then, peace and love, guys.
That
Outside the Cinema, the best podcast like ever.
His delivery is so fucking bored.
Fine, I guess I just won't do it anymore.
Which is cool, because I guess that makes my life a lot easier. What were you saying?
I was saying his description of zombie movie sounds like a weekend at Weinstein's. Yeah. Fuck that guy.
All right, guys. Hopefully next week I will have my normal sultry talking voice back. And I will have more energy than I have right now. So, yep. That's really all I got, everybody. So, Chris, you have anything you want to add real quick?
No, I just hope you don't have to talk a lot of baseball tonight.
I want one of the other coaches yell at the kids.
All right.
All right, everyone. Have a good week.
Bye.